In this episode, I'm going to continue our series on background processes. And our requirements for our application have changed a little bit. We're still working with sending mailings, and we still have this deliver link for sending a mailing in the background. But however, I've also added something while we're editing a mailing, a scheduled delivery date. So we should be able to schedule a mailing to be sent at some time in the future instead of on demand. And so this kind of throws a monkey wrench into our situation because we can't simply just activate a background process instantly. We have to have something constantly pulling and checking to see if any mailings are scheduled for delivery. In the past couple episodes, I showed you how to handle background processes using two different approaches, one with just triggering a rake task to be run in the background, and also using Starling with the Workling plugin. Now, neither of these really do what we want. They can't really schedule a job to be run at some point in the future. Now, there are a number of alternatives to handling background jobs. Here's just a few of them. And I'll post links in the show notes to each of these. Now, I don't plan on covering each of these individually in future episodes, but thankfully, for the most part, they're pretty well documented. So I encourage you to check these out and just investigate and see which one you think will work for your specific situation. Now, in this episode, I want to show you something that may not be quite as obvious, and that is to actually make your own daemon to be run in the background to handle whatever you need it to do. And I think the overall approach is much simpler than using some pre-built plugins. So this might work for you. I encourage you to just try it out and see. So to accomplish this, I'm going to install a couple different things. One is the Daemons gem. You can install with gem install daemons. And the other thing I need to install here is the daemon generator. This is just a plugin which you can install with this command, and I'll post this in the show notes if you want to just copy it from there. And what this does is actually just create a simple generator script for, well, creating a daemon that you run with just script generate daemon, give it a name, and then you can start and stop this daemon whenever you want. Alright, so let's do just that. Let's just generate a daemon here and call it mailer. Then I'll just create a few files for us. And the really important one here is the libdaemonsmailer.rb, which is the one we want to edit to do whatever we want instead of the daemon. Okay, and so here's the contents of that file. And really what this is all doing is just defaults the Rails environment to production, so you'll need to specify otherwise if you want it to run in development or something. And then it loads our Rails environment. And then this little section right here, what it's doing is it's just, if we ever try to stop this process, it's just setting this running variable to false. So that way, if it's in the middle of processing something inside of this loop here, then it doesn't try to kill it right then. It waits until it's all done processing at the end of the loop, then it will kill the process. So that's just something to be aware of if you ever try to stop the daemon and it doesn't stop right away. It's just waiting for whatever's inside this loop to finish. And here is where we put our magic code of logic, whatever you want to do inside of your daemon. And so what we want to do here is really just check if any mailings need to be delivered and just deliver them, and otherwise just wait a few seconds and then try again. So what we'll do is just, I have a mailing method called next for delivery. And what this does is it just checks the database to see what mailing has a schedule that time before the current time and hasn't been sent yet. And then we can check if we have a mailing there and then just deliver it. Otherwise, we'll just sleep for how about 15 seconds. You may want to change this, of course, to whatever really suits your application best. You may want to bump it up a bit. And there we go. Now we have a very simple daemon that I'll just pull the database every once in a while to check if any mailings need to be delivered, deliver them if they need to, and sleep otherwise. Alright, now let's try starting this daemon up. What you have to be careful of here is make sure to start it in the proper environment. In this case, you want to start it in development, and it defaults to production. So we have to specify Rails environment here, set it to development, and then we can just run our script, which is at the lib daemons directory, and just call mailer ctl, and just call either start, stop, or restart here. So let's just start it up, and looks like it works. All right, so let's give this a try. For testing purposes, I'm just going to set the scheduled delivery date to way in the past, just so it considers it needing to be sent. And let's submit this. And then after a minute or so, it should pop up saying that it was delivered. We'll see. All right, so let's try hitting reload here in the browser after a minute passes, and there we go. Looks like it was delivered. Awesome. So our background process picked it up automatically and delivered it because it was set to be scheduled delivery before the current time. Now what about these deliver links that we had set up before? Well, these won't work now because our daemon process is just set up to work with scheduled deliveries. But we can kind of trick it a little bit so that when we click deliver, it automatically sets the scheduled delivery time to the current time. Alright, so here's that deliver action inside of our mailings controller. And this is where we want it to set the scheduled time for our mailing when we run the action. So let's say mailing update. Let's update the given mailing ID with the scheduled at. That's the column name that holds the current or the time for the scheduled delivery. We need to set that to the current time. And there we go. Now it's almost as if it's an instant delivery button, but it won't be quite instant because it only polls every 15 seconds. So it's kind of up to you and your situation. I think most applications, this is a satisfactory approach. If not, then you might want to look into one of the other background processing plugins. But considering the simplicity of writing your own little daemon here for these kind of situations, I think it's a pretty nice solution. All right, so now let's give this a try. Let's just click our little deliver link. It says it's delivering. Wait a minute or so. And then when we hit reload here, there we go. Now it says it was delivered. Awesome. This episode is sponsored in part by Pragmatic Screencasts. They offer high-quality screencasts on a variety of subjects, including Ruby and Rails. Check them out at pragmatic.tv. Also sponsored by GitHub. One of the best ways to improve yourself as a programmer is to collaborate with others, share your code, and read other code. In my opinion, GitHub is the best way to do that. Check them out at github.com, sign up there, and share your code.